Hey guys, it's Ken Sr. We're southbound and hammer down to the 80th running of the Daytona Bike Week. It is absolutely happening this year, 2021. In the first comment, I'll pin an overview of the 2020 event. A lot has happened in the last year. Daytona is a milestone for not only the motorcycle industry, but for a lot of people. It's a year in our life has gone by, and what a strange ride it's been. We drove about 7 hours and camped out here in the Walmart parking lot, 7.5 hours. And the sun's just coming up. We're going to be trying to make as much time and get out of this frozen tundra and get down to the warm, sandy beaches of Daytona. That's what it's all about. This will be my 30th trip down to Bike Week, my 31st year. 1 year I skipped Bike Week and went to Biketoberfest, so I consider myself somewhat of a expert tour guide of Daytona. And I'm going to give you a rundown of what's going on and what to see. And I guess I'll start by saying you can't see it all in 1 week because there's events going on simultaneously. The first big event is the Daytona Supercross, which is at the International Speedway. That's happening on Saturday, and that steamrolls into Sunday and Monday, the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross event going on there, and then Tuesday, the Vintage Supercross, which Junior is actually flying down. He'll be racing his 89 CR500 at the Daytona Speedway. The International Speedway is really the center hub of all the activities. Years ago, the racing started on the sandy beaches. They actually used to race the motorcycles and cars. The Daytona 200 was held on the beaches, and that's where the road racing started. They moved it to the International Speedway some time ago, and not much has changed there at the Speedway in the last 30 years, as far as I can see. So after Tuesday, they start the road racing. They'll have the 600cc, the super bikes. They'll have the vintage bikes. So Wednesday, Thursday, you'll see a lot of road racing going on, different events. And then on the following weekend, on Saturday, on the same day, they have the Daytona flat track.
Turn left at the traffic light.
The Harley Davidson and Indian and now KTM battle for supremacy on the it's a TT style track, which has a couple turns, left hands, right hands, and a couple jumps. It's not like it used to be, where they used to have it at the Volusia County Speedway, and it was just a half-mile flat track. It's actually a little more exciting with the jumps and everything now. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but you can check it out online. But the last year they had the Daytona 200 and the flat track on the same day. What they do is they take the Supercross track and they level it. They actually take it out, which is quite a feat. The trucks run all night long. They actually take all the dirt out and they set up the flat track on the infield oval at the Daytona 200 road race track. So you'll see road racing and flat track on the same day. It's also the site of the International Motorcycle Show right there at the Speedway. So if you have a motorcycle license, you can pretty much stay at the racetrack and be entertained every day, but there's so much more to see. Like I said, you can't see it all in 1 year. At the International Motorcycle Show, pretty much all the players of the motorcycle industry will be there. Harley Davidson, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki. They'll be there with 1 or 2 or 3 tractor trailers, Indian, and they have all their new motorcycles there, dirt bikes, street bikes, all the latest technology, from electric motorcycles to dual purpose bikes to full dressers to V8 powered choppers. A lot of the aftermarket manufacturers will be there. You can entertain yourself for a couple days just at the International Motorcycle Show. And if you have a motorcycle license, you can ride pretty much any new bike made there. You sign a waiver and you hop on it. You can fly. You can hop on a plane right now from Connecticut. 2 hours later, be in Daytona. Get off at International Speedway, walk across Daytona International Airport, walk across the street, and be at the Speedway riding a brand new motorcycle. I did that when I was 25 years old. I'm 55. I went there 30 years ago when I was 25, the first time I went there, and that's what I did. I flew down with no motorcycle, rented a van, slept in the van, and rode motorcycles for free. I literally had to pinch myself. I was like, is this real? How can a 25-year-old kid be riding a brand new $20,000 Harley Davidson? I was besides myself with amazement, and I've been going every year since. It's one of those events that if you get bitten by the Daytona bug, you'll be back. They call it Daytona Bike Week, but it's spread out in pretty much that whole area of Florida, south and north and east, 15 miles. Everywhere you go, there's a bike swap meets and bike shows and bike shops. It's just crazy. Venturing out from the International Motorcycle Show in the Speedway, one of the places you got to check out is Main Street. Main Street is for motorcycles only during Bike Week, and it's basically a mile, a 3/4 mile long stretch of motorcycle shops, bars, bands, bikes, babes. Literally, you can't even find a parking spot for your bike there. Just thousands. If you love people watching, or if you love motorcycle watching, the sights and scenes and sounds of Main Street are second to none. In the besides maybe going out to Sturgis, but it's just crazy. There's a non-stop flow of bikes, and you can check it out. You can check out the live stream. The camera is up right now if you want to see the Daytona Main Street. It's not much going on right now, but wait till later in the week. It's an absolute shit show. There's the Boot Hill Saloon right across from the cemetery at the end of Main Street. That's a rite of passage. You got to go there and get a t-shirt and check that out. Of course, there's the boardwalk right at the end of Main Street. You just walk across the street and there's a boardwalk there. They have a boardwalk bike show there, mostly American V-twins, but choppers and everything else. But they have all brands there. That's a really popular show. And of course, there's the beach. You can ride. That's the other thing that I couldn't believe the first time I was there. You can ride. The beach is really hard packed. That's what they used to race on it. You can actually ride your motorcycle. At one point, it was 11-mile stretch, and it changes from year to year if some of it gets washed out. But from tornadoes, what do you call it? Hurricanes they have down there. But it's unbelievable. Riding your motorcycle on the beach, especially coming from Connecticut, is really a paradigm shift from freezing cold to tank tops and riding motorcycles. It's the ultimate motorcycle lover's adventure. As far as riding street bikes there, it's pretty crowded in Main Street and at the Speedway, but if you head north up A1A, there's some absolutely gorgeous runs along the ocean where you watch the waves, you watch the sunrise or the moon come up. It's just absolutely beautiful. And about 5 miles north of Daytona, there's a scenic route that goes through the back country of Florida where you'd have to see it to believe it. You're basically riding through the Everglades. It's just fantastic. Water on both sides and the old mossy trees, and it's just incredible. Daytona, originally the Daytona Harley Davidson was a small shop when I went there 30 years ago when I was 25 years. A little tiny shop, smaller than most Harley shops. And it blew up. They bought a bigger facility about a mile away from the beach, and a beautiful, brand new, probably 15,000 square foot facility. They outgrew it, and they actually created another epicenter of activity called Destination Daytona, and it's at the Bruce Rossemeyer Harley Davidson. Check that out online. That has become the V-Twin Central. Harley Davidson Indian have their tractor trailers down in Daytona, but all of the manufacturers that sell accessories like Thunderheader and Olin shocks and all the tires manufacturers, Custom Chrome, they're all there. Literally probably 30 tractor trailers in maybe 100 smaller rigs set up. Anybody who's anybody in the Harley Davidson industry is at Destination Daytona, and it is probably the nicest Harley Davidson dealership I've ever. It's like a Disney for Harley Davidsons. It's a huge dealership. They have the only dealership I know that has an elevator and 2 escalators, and it's like a little mini mall. It's incredible. The selection of accessories and clothing there is second to none of any Harley shop, and they sell a whole lot of Harleys there. It's just absolutely incredible. What they did is they bought like I think 80 acres and built the massive Harley dealer, and then they built like a mall around it of smaller shops that a bunch of shops moved into, seat manufacturers and Custom Chrome and a whole bunch of other ones. So Destination Daytona is incredible. It's about 10 miles north of Daytona, and if you're going to go from Main Street, go up A1A and take the back route. It's an awesome ride up the coast. It's just fantastic. And then through the back country over to there. And on the way there, you'll pass the Iron Horse Saloon. If you take a left out of Destination Daytona towards the beach, they have this fantastic outdoor bar. It's incredible. Most of what I mentioned so far was for street and dual sport riders and supercross fans. If you're an off-road rider, Florida is a mecca of places. A lot of the most of the New England top pro motocrossers would head down to Florida for the winter, and there's tracks everywhere. You can call or look up Ride Florida MX ATV rental. Mark Scalvi and his wife run a kick-ass motorcycle and ATV rental where they actually take you to the Croom, which is like a 1,000-acre park. Croom has a bike shop. They've got camping, and Croom's awesome. You can go to Orlando Speed World. They have a actual drag race track there if you want to see motorcycle drag racing, which is, I'll probably be there this week going to that. And they also have Orlando Motocross, which is right outside. You can camp there, race motocross, and then at night go watch the drag bikes. It's absolutely incredible. And of course, it's right near Disneyland, so something for everybody. If you wanted to go to Daytona and haven't been able to, or if you can't go, I'm gonna do a vlog, and every phase of the journey I'll actually share with you guys daily what's going on down there, which events, and it'll give you a serious overview of Daytona. There's a Gatorback National Motocross track. There's the PAX track. There's motocross tracks everywhere in Florida. And the Florida Trail Riders Association has a enduro off-road J-Day style racing events. It's just something for everybody. If you're into vintage, the Antique Motorcycle Club of America has a rally this week going on. Just check them out. The location will be on their website. And also at the Volusia County Speedway, they do vintage flat tracking, which is something you really got to see. How these, you wouldn't believe how fast these bikes from the 30s go with no brakes and no suspension. 1000cc, 900cc twins just absolutely sending it. The top 5 guys are really fast. I think you'd be surprised. So the vintage flat tracking is really quite a sight to see. All the bikes, the old Bultacos and Osas and the Harleys, and it's just incredible. There's tons of restaurants and bars in Daytona. Killer restaurants right on the water, on the intercoastal or on the ocean. Lots of great hotels. The Hilton's one of the favorite from the people I know going to hotels. It's my traveling cat. I call her my cat dog. She's a Maine Coon cat. She's a trip. Lodging at Daytona, you can show up with a pup tent, and they, not this year, they're not allowing tent camping on the infield, but lots of campgrounds that do, and you could camp for peanuts. It was $50 a week last year. You can come. I'm bringing my little camper here, my toy hauler with the 2 bikes in the back. We camp out on the actual infield of the Daytona International Speedway. There's lots of great campgrounds all over the place, KOA campgrounds, hotels, plenty of lodging alternatives, whether you want to go low budget or top of the line room at the Hilton. You can also fly down and rent a motorcycle from Rossmeyer Harley Davidson, brand new full dresser with a stereo, which is something you might want to do your first year coming down. Rent a bike so you don't have to worry about it. You can ride it on the beach and everything. And you might have heard of the Cabbage Patch. It's pretty much a bar party joint that has a campground called the Cackleberry Campground right next door. That place is who they have the coleslaw wrestling and all kinds of craziness going on there. If that's your scene, if you like that kind of stuff. This year, there's a Harley Davidson dealership called Crystal Harley Davidson. That's on Crystal Springs, Florida, on the Gulf Coast. They're doing a coast-to-coast ride rally, which would be kind of cool. They're also offering free beer, so you can go there and have a beer, and probably wouldn't have more than one, but if you're riding, and it's a 2-hour ride from the Gulf Coast over to the Daytona Main Street. So if you could do it around sundown and watch the sunset over the Gulf Coast, and then watch the moon rise over the East Coast and hit Main Street, that'd be a fun trip. Or you could do it in the morning, whatever. Either way, there's some really awesome back roads, country, Florida, riding to see on that 2-hour route. Give you a real taste of what Florida's about, rural Florida. So I mentioned earlier the COVID restrictions are lifting in Florida. It's been quite a year. I said Daytona's a milestone event. Last year when we went there was no COVID, and we got there, and halfway through the week, all of a sudden the sky was falling, and we got kicked out of the Speedway. They wouldn't let us stay for the Daytona 200. We showed up on Friday. The following Friday, the Daytona 200 ran, but they wouldn't allow spectators to stay, so they gave us a refund. We left, and you know, the rest is history. It's just been a crazy year. We couldn't get toilet paper on the way home. Everybody's in full panic mode. When we got back, the state shut down the museum for almost 6 months, and we had to lay off half our employees. It was a total shit show. So Daytona, this has been one constant in my life, no matter what. I always look forward to going to Daytona, and I've been through a lot in the last 30 years, lots of ups and downs and injuries and divorces and new businesses and businesses closing, and just it's been a no matter what the roller coaster was, I always end up at Daytona for Bike Week. That's the one constant thing in my life is motorcycles and Bike Week. And this year, it's looking like there's light at the end of the tunnel. There actually is no mask law in Florida as of this week. It's optional. It's not mandatory. If you don't want to wear a mask, you don't have to. I suggest bringing one because some private owners of, you know, some of the, like the health food stores you go into, and so some places that when we were down here in Florida, everybody was wearing masks. In other places they weren't. So, and on private property, they have the right to demand you wear a mask. So you have the right to not go there if you don't want to go there too. But you need to bring a mask if you want to have full access everywhere. I also heard Texas has lifted the restrictions, so I think there's some light at the end of the tunnel here. The vaccine's out. Events are being planned. They're running all the Daytona events. The Supercross is going on. Unfortunately, they only sold about a third as many tickets because everybody had to be 6 feet apart, right?
Yeah.
Only a third as many tickets, and the price went through the roof. So we're footing the bill for the Speedway needing, and I don't mind doing it. No matter what the cost was, I'd pay it because it's just a phenomenal event. The Daytona Supercross is a milestone event. So is the Daytona Flat Track, the Daytona 200, the vintage racing, the amateur racing is hugely inspirational. To be there on Sunday and Monday, the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross, seeing the little kids get out there on the 50s, and the top 5 of them are absolutely sending it. And then, you know, everything from 4-year-old kids to 65-year-old vet class, and the women riders is insane. That they're so fast. The top women riders. It's just an awesome event. And of course, I'll see Junior out there, which to me makes I'd just go there. I'd go there just to see that, to see Junior race. But there's so much to see. It's the ultimate motorcyclistification, bar none. Sturgis is awesome. A lot of great riding out there. But there's no other event on the planet that has professional AMA Supercross, flat track, road racing, drag racing, motocross, the alligator enduro, the dual sport rallies, the street riding, the chopper shows, the international motorcycle show. It's all here, folks. Cabbage Patch Wrestling, the Main Street scene. There's just so much to see, guys. You got to come check it out if you haven't before. If you have, you'll probably be there this year. Did I mention premium, sunny skies, sandy beaches, and long hot days after freezing your ass off up in the north? That alone's worth the price of admission. Like I said, if you haven't been to Daytona, you owe it to yourself to go down there at least once. If you can't go for the whole week, just do a 3-day weekend and then figure out your plan of attack for the next year. It's always been something that motivated me to work my ass off all winter because I knew I was heading down to Daytona. So it always gave me the inspiration to push a little harder. This is somewhat of a working vacation for us because we're going to be meeting with all the vendors and the manufacturers. And big thing about Daytona is you see all the trends. For the last 30 years I've been coming here, I've seen a distinct change in the demographic. There's a lot more women riders. 23% of the registered riders are women. There's a lot more older riders that are in their 70s, 80s, and these are the same guys that were here 30 years ago. It's pretty much an older demographic. When I was the group when I was there 30 years ago was 20 to 50. There wasn't as many old timers. Now there's a lot of 50 to 80 year olds there and not as many youngsters. So we're trying to get the young folks into it. That's the future of the industry. Just watching the motorcycles drive by, seeing all the cool custom bikes, you'll get a lot of ideas. If you're going to build a custom motorcycle, anything you could possibly ever dream of, there's 500,000 motorcycles there, guys. That's 500,000 motorcycles, and that doesn't count the ones the manufacturers bring. All the new bikes will be there, so you see the best of the best. We just came off an awesome month. I went on that 6-week purchasing trip. I bought 160 motorcycles, and during the auction week we sold 175 bikes. So the business is booming. Kaplan Cycles is booming. If you want to check out what's for sale online, go to Kaplan Cycles. You'll see the auction link there. And we're looking to buy bikes. So if you have bikes for sale, dirt bikes, street bikes, project bikes, it doesn't matter, A to Z, Harley, Honda, it doesn't matter. We do specialize in vintage bikes, two strokes, vintage off-road. We do a little bit of everything. Harleys, and if you want to put bikes on consignment, our next auction's April 25th. We're having another 3-day big auction there. We're shooting for 250 bikes this time. We'll see what happens. So if you have any bikes you want to sell, give us a call, 860-454-7024, or text me, 860-916-9784. My dad used to tell me, he said, you know, you've got to reward yourself with doing adventures like this and, you know, having nice bikes and stuff and whatever floats your boat, because someday you might wake up and say, why am I working so hard? So reward yourself. Get a ticket, fly down to Daytona. If you're not prepared, just get a hotel room and rent a bike or a car and have a blast, because you're going to be dead a long time. It's no dress rehearsal, folks. Get off the couch, get your butt down to Daytona. I'll see you there. Sun's rising. It's getting a little warmer. It's actually 35 degrees here. It was 16 degrees at home. We're about, like I said, about 7.5 hours south of Rockville, Connecticut. So we're heading down, southbound, hammer down. The wonderful thing about Daytona Bike Week is I've been talking about it for 21 minutes and I didn't cover everything. There's so much more to it. You can't possibly see it in one year because there are simultaneous events going on everywhere, all over, not just Daytona, but in a 50-mile radius and farther, all the way to the East Coast. So it's a big party. It's a celebration of freedom, the American way, freedom, motorcycles, and sunshine and having fun. And I think after a year of this COVID bullcrap, it couldn't come at a better time, and hopefully it'll be a kickoff to the new season. We're actually having our first event at the museum. The museum's opening back up March 15th if you want to check it out. We're at 200 West Main Street, Rockville, Connecticut. Check out the New England Motorcycle Museum.org. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Or Kaplan Cycles, that's the buy-sell trade business I own. Also, there are a number of websites you can check out to find out the schedule. Just punch in Daytona 2021 schedule. I found them rather confusing. Unfortunately, the individual organizations having the events, whether it's AMCA or AMA, they'll have their individual schedules, or the Florida Trail Riders, or the AMCA. They'll all have their own schedule. Figure out what you want to check out and go for it. So we're on 81 South in Pennsylvania. We're going from plow trucks and snowbanks to tomorrow it'll be palm trees and motorcycles, which sounds a lot better to me. So see you guys down at Bike Week, and if not there, we'll see you at the Motorcycle Museum when we reopen March 15th, the New England Motorcycle Museum. Check it out. Thanks for watching, and God bless the United States of America.